All right, we're back for more. Now we are going to take a tour through how the ability editing tool works. This was a brainchild of Sabo. Again, trying to enhance gameplay. There is a shit ton of abilities in this game. Um, but in reality, only a few of them are really solid actual abilities that work for both human and CPU. There's a bunch of stuff that can work for the human player, but it's kind of useless to CPU player. Um, Prime example would be like the hot route one. When's the last time a CPU team called a hot route? Um, some of the ones like leapfrog and things like that, just there's no use for a lot of them. Personally, I would have never even thought about doing anything like this. Again, Sabo had the idea. Um, he needed my Excel skills to create a tool to make it easily accessible, and Jesus fucking Christ, was this damn thing a pain in the ass. Um, but after working on this thing for probably, God, well over a month, it's been a while since he brought this to me, and then we've had the tool out for a while now, and I know it works kind of. But there's just a lot of stuff in there that was a pain in the ass. Bottom line, I don't know if anybody knows what binary code is. That's the ones and zeros of how computers are programmed. Um, Basically, there's a lot of stuff in the franchise editor that is based off of binary code. Not just a short one, like we're talking 32-digit binary. The way the game works is the first 16 digits refer to a table in the franchise editor, and then the last 16 digits refer to a row in the franchise editor, and that's how it's essentially directions. That's the Google Maps of how the franchise editor works. So figuring out what is what and what to do was a pain in the ass. Uh, Finally today I finished up, or it might have been last night. Man, days are running together. Anyways, but I basically went row by row to find exactly what trait was on what row to get the right references, and we should be good now. There should be no duplicates. I know sometimes we'd be getting fearmonger twice, things like that. I was having a lot of trouble with defensive linemen and linebackers for whatever reason. Every other position seemed to be pretty solid, but those ones we were just getting mix-ups. But yeah, so there should be no duplicates. I was a way to get the slot orders correct. So you're not going to have your X Factor ability sitting at like slot 3 in there. And I know that's not a big deal, but it is kind of visually stupid. So I wanted to get that right. And it should all work correctly. So again, I created a defensive ability index and offensive ability index. Basically, this just tells you what these players that have abilities should have, what the slot order should be. And oh man, I just realized I forgot to put a 7 right there. Well, anyways, that doesn't matter. So what they're supposed to what players are supposed to have. Okay, so the way this chart works is, for example, if it goes by player type. So if you have a quarterback who's a field general or strong arm, okay, they're an X factor and they're over 94 overall, which means 95 or higher. This is the order of the abilities. Now, this doesn't mean they're going to have all 7 slots available. You may have a quarterback that only has 3 slots available. You may have one that has all 7. But this is the order it's going to go in. So if they have 3 slots available, they'll have Gambler, Protected, Pocket Deadeye. If they have 4, they'll go down the Gift Wrapped, and so on and so forth. This would be what it looks like if it's an X Factor who's less than 95. Slight change. The only difference is Protected right here was number 2, and now Protected is number 7. The reason for that is you have to be a 95 overall to use the Protected ability. There's no point in wasting an ability on a player that can't even use it. So we have it set up where the lower ones, which most of these are like 90s or something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head. We have a list of it, but maybe even some like 85, 75s, whatever. Bottom line, if the player is there, he should be able to use these abilities, and that's the key. We want players to be able to use the abilities. Same thing right here, Superstar, over 94 overall. The only difference is we got rid of the X Factor because they're not an X Factor. So you get the same list you had right here minus the X factor, and over here same thing minus the X factor. That's basically how this whole thing breaks down. Every position is kind of like that. And I'm not going to go over this whole thing because you can kind of read it and figure out what it is. These were the abilities that were decided to use that were the most effective for, mainly for the CPU, to make the game a little more challenging, a little more fun, a little more where you have to try to scheme out and figure out what you're going to do to stop some of these guys. But yeah, that was the main thing. I also want you guys to reference this stuff. Here's your defensive one if you want to take a look at that. Because as much as I think I have this thing taken care of and all the little bugs weeded out, I'm not 100% sure. So you guys can always refer to these indexes here to, and then go and compare them to your game to make sure your guys are set up the correct way. So that's that. Now, how we run this tool. So it's a little more complicated than the trade tool was. Trade tool was one table, you were good to go, everything's fine. Okay. As you can see, I have two things here. One is for just as ability edits, the other one says ability edits for old franchises. Now, when I say old franchises, I mean a franchise that you created maybe a month or two ago. I'll explain to you what the difference is and what's going on. At some point in time, when Madden came out with a patch, they patched in having all the players' abilities going to the same player table. Okay, before there was two separate ones. There was the original one that you started your franchise with that had all players that were already having superstar or X Factor abilities on one table, and then anybody new, so anybody that got a dev upgrade or your rookies coming in or anything like that, would show up on a different table. That's why there's an old franchise, so there's one extra step for that one. We're going to run through the new one because that's what most people are going to use, especially if you're going to use the Start Today file. That's all set up with the new one. If you're going to start a new franchise, it's going to be a new one. Again, this is only for, this old one is only for guys like my 49ers franchise, which I can't let go because I'm like in 2028 now. So yeah, I can't let go of that franchise yet. But I still want to have all the ability edits. So I will show you guys how to do that one at the end of this video. I know Adrian, 1992, I think that's your last part of your thing. Is that it? God, you messaged me so much. I should know it by now. Yeah, this guy right here. I know he has an old franchise just like me, so he's pretty excited by this one, and I'm glad I'm able to figure out how to make it work for old franchises as well. So anyways, without further ado, let's run through the process. Okay, so for this one, you need I'm gonna open my new one. You need two files, okay? The first one is gonna be your player table, just like before. So we're gonna export that, and I'm going to go to ability test, test new, and again, I'm gonna name this 144, okay? Pops up, we close it. Go back to franchise editor. This is the second table we have, table 91. That's active signature data, okay? This is the table that has all the position signature abilities and all the player abilities, or all the player things. This essentially, this table right here is what the ability editor that's built into this thing references, okay? But we can't do any kind of imports here. We have to do it through here, okay? So we're going to active signature data, and as you can see, there's 1,000 rows. I know it says 999, but we start with 0. So there's 1,000 rows, and every single player that has an ability is on this table, okay? It's very important because this is the one we're going to import back in. So we're going to go ahead and file, export that one, and I'm going to name this 191. Simple as that. This will load up fast because it's a much smaller file. Close that out. Okay, you're going to click on ability edits. It's going to come up and say, please insert the player table, or select the player table, number 144. So we're going to do that. ability, new test. Here's my 144. It's going to run this. When it's done, it's going to say, please import, or you're going to select the active signature data, usually table 91. So that's the table 91 we just exported, right? Right here. Click that. It's going to do its thing. Done. Okay. If you want to go back in and see what the file that's exported is, it's called abilities table 91 export. Again, I try to make it as simple as possible so you guys, don't lose the files or anything like that. If you double click on it, lovely binary. Lovely, lovely binary. This is what I'm talking about. This stuff. Okay? That's all you got. That you got the binary code, which is going to be the ability, and then you got the slot index. So, close that out. We're going to go back. Oh, let me save this. We are going to go back to the franchise editor, and this should load instantaneously. Okay? I'm going to go in here, abilities, test new. Here's my thing, right? Imported successful, done. Okay? If you go into the ability editor, you can actually start checking things now, and if you were paying attention earlier to what we got, there it is. These things, let's go ahead and it's easy. It's a little bit easier to go in game to check the stuff because you can see exactly what some of these players are. But bottom line, we know every single receiver it's exactly the same for all receivers, so it doesn't matter. So if you look at AJ Green, he's obviously an X factor. So he's got double me, red zone, and route technician. Double me, red zone, and route tactician. So that means he's an X factor who's less than 90 overall. That's why he's got these three that way. If he was above 90 overall, he would have had double me, route tactician, and grab and go. Okay? Aaron Donald's another. We know Aaron Donald is 99. Okay? Aaron Donald's just a freaking animal. So, oh, damn it. That's not what I wanted to do. Whoa. What the? Well, I guess I'm installing an update for Discord. Not what I was trying to do. Okay. Back to where I was just at. Pin, defense. So Aaron Donald, I believe, is a defensive end power rusher. I feel like that's right. So he's Fearmonger, pass rush elite, and under pressure. That would have been an X factor. Fearmonger. Oh, maybe he. Well, maybe I don't have my slots set up the right way. Okay, regardless, they're getting the right stuff. I feel like he should have had Fearmonger, under pressure, tackle supreme. Because well, that's a defense tackle. Wait up. But he should still have Fearmonger, under pressure, tackle supreme. God, I knew doing this I was going to see something that was messed up. Doesn't matter. I can always fix this later. But bottom line is it looks like things are being imported the correct way. Let's go look at let's go in game. Maybe in game will make it a little bit better. Oh. What was it just at? That right there. Okay. Let's go find a defensive player. So we're gonna load the new. Oh, you know what I want to do though? Before I do that, let me close out of here. Another thing, when you're doing Madden franchise editor, you always want to close out whatever file you're running before trying to open it in Madden, because things could glitch out on you. So, all right, so let's go look at X Factor database. Let's go look at Khalil Mack, who we know is a 99 overall. So, what was he's a power rushing outside linebacker. So outside linebacker, power rush, 99 overall, should have Fearmonger, under pressure, tackle supreme, and he doesn't. He has Fearmonger, pass rush elite, and under pressure. So I either screwed up on what I was writing down here, or I made a mistake inside the actual thing, and it's assigning them slightly wrong. I'm not 100% sure. But regardless, it doesn't look like that anybody's got doubles, which is very, very promising, because doubles are very bad. That was my big thing before. Adam Thielen is a 94. He's a route runner. They're all the same, so it doesn't matter. So he should be a X Factor, 94. So he should have double me route tactician grab and go. But he has Slotomatic instead, which Slotomatic's not even on there. What in the heck did I do here? Well, a lot of stuff is working. Not everything though. Mike Evans is a 91. He's got double me, red zone, and route tactician. Which is solid, because that's the same double me, route tech, or red zone, and route tactician, but he's over. Yeah, I must have made a mistake somewhere, guys. Regardless, I'm still showing you how this thing works. So, don't worry about my code inside there. I will figure that out, but I'm still going to make this video right now to show you guys how this thing works. See if everything is wrong real quick though, because it is kind of aggravating me. So we got Aaron Rodgers as an improviser, so he's an X Factor, and he's got how many slots? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's got 6 because that's 95 overall. So he's got Fearless, so it should be this one. So Fearless, Roaming Deadeye, Gift Wrapped, Last Ditch, Gunslinger, and that is the long range Deadeye. But I think you have to have a 95 overall to undo that one. So that one worked. Okay, I've been rambling, but as you can see, nothing glitched out. It did work. I may have a few things wrong here and there. Yeah, I definitely messed something up, because 97 overall Patrick Mahomes, who is an improviser, should have Escape Artist. What she does. Okay, cool. Roaming Deadeye, Gift Wrapped, Last Ditch, Gunslinger. Okay, so that one worked. But yeah, I gotta go in and double check to make sure I didn't do something wrong, or maybe I wrote some stuff wrong over here. I had my kids yapping in my ear while I was doing this earlier, so there's a very good possibility that I could have made a mistake over here. Regardless, we see how it works. Okay. Let me go through the older franchise one real quick, because it's a little bit of an extra step. Let me exit out of this real quick, and I will show you how this works real fast. Okay, so to do an older one, same thing. Mostly, we're gonna open the franchise. Okay, I'm gonna go to my old. Okay, player tables first, just like before. We're going to export that out, calling it 144. Done. Now, remember how I said before that it was on two separate tables. So you have your table 91, which is active signature data. If you noticed, see when it has the player thing with all zeros? That means that there's nobody on this table. The reason there's nobody on this table is because this is the new players that get added to your franchise, or they get dev upgrades or whatever, and they have abilities. This is where it's going to eventually go. Okay? For whatever reason, the old one, so this could always be a different table. So just type in start typing active signature. It's the very last one on here. So for this one, it's table 3232. Okay? When you click on that, now you have a bunch of players on here. Why? Because it's the franchise I just started. It's in preseason week 1. So there's nobody new added. So they're all on the original table. This is the original table. And if you come down and look at the very, very bottom, it's only 299 rows. Again, it says 298, but it starts with 0. So this is the original table. Okay? As players retire, lose stuff, these things will end up blanking out, and everybody new that gets added on will get added on to that next table, even if it's a player that's on this table already. So let's say Russell Wilson, which is on this table, for some reason gets another ability at some point in time the following season or whenever, his new ability will go on to that original table 91. Okay? So that's the extra step with this one. So we have to export both table 91, and I know there's nobody on this right now, but I just want to show you the process, because if you're like 6 or 7 years deep into your franchise, when you run this tool, you're going to have to do them both. Okay, so we're going to export that one again. We'll name this one table 91. It's done. And we have to export that one other table. So it was 3232. So I will name it the same number, 3232. Save that. Close. We got all our stuff. So now when we click this button, we're going to eventually import all 3 of those tables. Pay attention to which one gets imported at which time. Your table 144 first, that's your player table. So we're going to find the 144. Oh, that's not the right test old. 144, and import that. Now it's going to say table 91 again. So we're going to find our table 91, and we're going to import that. Now, this says usually 3227, but it's going to vary from franchise to franchise because it's so far down on table numbers where stuff gets added and taken away. We know what table it is because we just exported it, right? It's 3232. So we're going to click on that. Now it's going to run it stuff in the background. We're done. Okay? So if you go and look at the old, it gives you 2 exports. Table 91 export, and then it says 3227. That might not be correct. We know ours in this one is 3232. Okay, we just got to remember which is which. So we're going to have to import both those ones back in. So go back into franchise editor. Let's just go in order. We'll go back to table 91. We're going to import. Not new, old. Okay, so here's table 91 and done. So we'll save. Now 3232 was the other one, active signature data. We're going to import old, and it's going to be this one. Again, I put old on there to hopefully remind you guys it's the old one. We're going to double click on that. We're going to save it, and we're done. Again, you can click on ability editor. If this ability editor loads up, then you know you're good to go, because if there was something that we broke, it wouldn't load up. Okay, we're done with that, so we can close that out. Close that out, and let's save this. We'll go back into Madden really quick, and we will load a franchise. We will do the old one, and we can go to our X Factor database. That, again, it's this. You can look and see all these guys got the stuff they're supposed to have. Well, at least according to my thing. Again, I think I messed something up somewhere, because again, AJ Green should, at least according to what I wrote down, he should have. He's 90 overall, so he should be right here. Or he should be right here. And he's an X factor. So he should have double route and grab and go. But he doesn't. He has the red zone one. So he's definitely getting this right here for some reason. So again, I may have screwed up here somewhere. I'm hoping that I just screwed up writing stuff down and it wasn't actually screwed up inside the editor, because then I have to do a lot of changing and stuff like that. But regardless, it is getting the stuff it is supposed to. This is working. Things are getting used. So it does work, which is what we want. And now you understand how you're supposed to put stuff in the game. So okay. With that is the ability editor in the nutshell. I hope I was clear enough. I know I got kind of rambly there for a while because I tested this earlier and things were working good. And of course, when something popped up that I wasn't expecting, threw me off a little bit. But anyways, I hope that was clear enough to understand how to use the ability tool. That's not what I was trying to open. That's also not what I was trying to open. Got too many tabs open here at the bottom. So I hope that explained how to use the ability edits, how to use the ability tool, what it'll do. Next up will be probably a refresher on the progression, running that through. To be perfectly honest, there's not much different from when I ran it through. Actually, there's really nothing different from when I ran it through the other day for the beta test, other than you don't need to do the league distribution unless you want to. And also the fact that I added the 5th year option for players. That'll show up in the off-season report, so you can see that there, and then everything else is obviously done behind the scenes inside the game, like I do with everything else. So I really don't have to run through another one of those. I'm not going to do that before I release it. And I think the only other thing I'll do is the offensive lineman upgrade. It's very basic. I'll have to sim real quick to get to an off-season, or to a Pro Bowl, but I'll show you guys how to do that. That'll be my last video, and then I think I can release the stuff. So I will see you then.